Welcome back everyone for our next retro restore. This one we're going to be going over the NES top loader, which the model number is NES 101, as opposed to what everyone's used to, the NES 001. So if you're not familiar with the NES top loader, it comes with a power supply that actually, it's the same one, the NES 002, but it says it works for the 001 and the 101. And then the back of the top loader only has RF out on it, so you have to have one of these types of beasts for it. Which we'll get into how to hook it up to a modern TV, kind of like how we did with the Atari. So when you flip this thing over, notice it has these 4 screws on here. You'll need a bit that works on either the 4.5mm game bits or 4.6mm line head screws. Then we'll go ahead and do the fun part of taking this apart. So I don't actually have the correct controller that goes with this one, but if you've seen the correct controller, it's like a little bone-shaped one. It's pretty cool looking. Since we're going to be popping open this part to deal with the board, I'm going to make sure I'm grounded out here. So when all the screws are out of there, you want to kind of grab in the center area and just kind of lift up on this. Have to kind of wiggle it and work with it a bit, but you can get that lifted off. That's what the underside of that case looks like, where you have the reset button there, and you have the power button right there. Now, another thing about this system is it doesn't actually have any LEDs to let you know that it's turned on. The way you know it's turned on, you have to look at the power thing at its position. There are people that have modded these to add LEDs, but kind of like keeping these in their original condition. And then inside of here, you just need a Phillips screwdriver. So we'll start by popping off these 3 Phillips screws for this heat shield right here. And then we will remove the shield. So this system is actually extremely clean. That is rare for getting a system from someone else. Next we'll take out each of the Phillips screws on the sides of the pins. And doing this should make the board come loose. Then once those are out, we can just lift the board right up. I wish every time I got a system it was this clean. So we'll just set this to the side. Then we have the bottom shield. There is just barely any dust in here. That's sad. I was hoping for like a nice chance to clean like dead bugs or animals or something out of here. So then what we'll do, we'll start with our nice can of air. Make sure if you're using one of these that it's in a nice well-ventilated area. Then we'll put that little shield back in place. It has little tabs that stick up in a couple spots, so you just want to make sure they're lined up correctly with those. Then using the can of air, I'm just going to do a nice little cleaning on here. Make sure to get the pins pretty well. Then we'll place this back in here. Make sure that these little parts line up beneath them for the pin connectors. Then we'll go ahead and put those screws back in place. Kind of sad there wasn't a lottery ticket or something in this one. This is actually from that same deal where I got that Atari. He had some pretty cool stuff there. So yeah, this is clean enough. So normally what I do is I have to take some Q-tips and then use 91% isopropyl alcohol to get a bunch of stuff cleaned up. But this is so clean inside, I'm not even going to have to do that. And then those same tabs that were used before, make sure you line up this top shield with those tabs. And then put the 3 screws back in place. 1 on each side, none in the back. And then when those screws are back in place, make sure this is in the off position, which will be all the way forward. And then also make sure the power button is in the off position, just so they line up correctly. And then we just slide that over the top. We flip it over and then put these screws back in. So just some useless information. The top-loading NES came out near the end of the NES life cycle. So that's why it didn't really sell that well. Plus, it required RF, and there were TVs at that time that were... like it was more common to have the other type of connections. There we go. Didn't take any restoring or anything, but we have our nice, clean, top-loading NES here. Now the fun part is getting to test this out. Oh no, it changed into a giant VCR. So yeah, we are going to take our trusty VCR and get that all hooked up. This is definitely for if you have newer TVs that don't have any of these old hookups on them. So the first part, our VCR, we're not going to be using all 3 cables, but have an AV to HDMI adapter right here. You have the input from these. Those plug into the out video and audio on the back of the VCR. And then this does require USB power, and then we have HDMI out on this. So that's how it will hook up to the TV. And then you take the power supply that you know will work with the top loader, get that plugged into the back of it, and then take your RF switch and plug this one into the back of the NES, and then this part will plug into the back of the VCR. So we have that plugged in there. So this one up here, it's antenna in, and that is where you want to plug this into. And then one of the important parts on here, there's a little switch right here. Just make sure it's on channel 3 instead of channel 4. Then you turn the power on the VCR. And right now it's on channel 1, so make sure you go up to channel 3, then hook up a controller, and then grab the best Mario game for the NES. Plop that on in there, and then turn the power on. And that just started right up. Can't go wrong with a little bit of Mario 3. It's been a while since I played this one. It's always such a great game. So I hope this was helpful to you. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing a top-loading NES and seeing the takedown of it and getting to see how to get it hooked up to a modern TV. Let me know in the comments if you have a top-loader NES, or just even if you have a regular NES hooked up at home right now, because, I mean, it was such a good console. Still has some pretty awesome games on it. Also, let me know in the comments what your favorite NES game is. So if you have any questions or anything, then leave a message in the comments, and if you have not already, please subscribe, leave a thumbs up. I want to thank you for watching. Have a nice day.